I haven't got your camera up there, mate. So, yeah, there we go.
Here we go.
Appreciate it, mate.
You're welcome. No, my absolute pleasure. Jamie, I see you doing some really good stuff, so keep it up.
Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate your time, mate. So, I'll just give you a bit of a rundown of what I do with the page.
Okay.
So, I'm promoting the game here in Perth, especially with the possibility of the expansion team coming up, in the next few years. I go to local games, juniors and seniors, take photos, videos, all that sort of stuff. Hoping to get to work with the NRL WA to do a podcast with the clubs, so promote the clubs even more. And do that sort of stuff in the future, and then obviously share NRL news with the fans that are out there as well.
Good on you, Jamie. That sounds really, really awesome. And it's awesome to be on your show, my friend.
Oh, beautiful, mate. I know. I really appreciate your time, So we'll just go through your career, mate. So you started in 2000 with the Warriors. Go to the Storm, Panthers, Tigers, Huddersfield, and you end up playing your last game at the Eels in 2011. You get to represent Aotearoa Māori, and you also get to represent the Kiwis as well. Do you look back on your career and have anything that you sort of reflect on and go, "Wow, I achieved a lot," or anything like that?
Thank you, Jamie, for your awesome introduction. It was a long time ago. different hairstyles, mate. I wish I had the same hairstyle as you. To answer your question, Jamie, I look back and I reflect on my career. I'm also going through the struggles of making first grade. As you know, Jamie, it is a demanding level, and you've got to be on your A game every weekend. And it didn't start out all roses the first 2 to 3 years of my NRL career. Yes, I did debut at the Warriors in 2000 as a young 18-year-old. But in saying that, I was cut by my two NRL clubs, the Warriors and then the Melbourne Storm. So I look back now and I'm just grateful that I continued to believe in myself when no club wanted me at the age of 20. And fortunate that the Panthers came knocking on my door in 2003 and gave me an opportunity, which I didn't look back. And those are the difficult stages, Jamie, when nobody believed in you and you believed in yourself. To be honest, I'm proud of myself that I was able to push through, and that's when the success started to happen.
Yep. No, that's beautiful, mate. So you're part of the 03 grand final win with the Panthers, and then the 05 grand final win with the Tigers, mate. How do you look back at those two years and games and sort of reflect on those two, like being part of such big games at the time, and it's been a long time for Penrith and the first time the Tigers win a grand final. So how do you look back on those two games?
Obviously, those 2 years, fine memories. Both seasons were good times in my life and at those two clubs. I look back on those moments, just the hard work and dedication that had to be put in away from game time, and the camaraderie, the mateships, and the memories that you make with your former teammates, which they cannot be taken away from you. So good memories, about understanding the hard work it took for those two teams to get to the top those 2 seasons, and also the relationships that you continue to keep 20 years down the track. I think for me, more so is being able to play in those big games, as you mentioned, Jamie. When I signed up with the Tigers, I did see it as an up-and-coming club, but still wasn't sure if we were able to play a grand final material coming from a successful club as the Panthers. But I went to the Tigers as a more of a leadership role, although I was only 23, 24 years of age. But we had the young Benji Marshall coming up, and the Dean Halatau and the Robbie Farahs. They were at the club, and that success came around quite quickly at the Tigers. And as you know, Benji killed it and was outstanding that year. And what a great career he has had. And I've been watching him with pride and now it's time for him to join the retired ranks and enjoy it from the sidelines.
Yep, absolutely. He did have a hell of a career, mate. Yeah, I was actually hoping the Rabbitohs would get up just for him and Wayne Bennett, but yeah. Just with get back to when you were a kid, mate. Did you have anyone that you sort of idolized, you looked up to, whether it be not just in sports but in life in general? And what about them made you like idolize them?
I had a favourite rugby league player, the legend Mal Meninga was my main man, and alongside his centre partner Ruben Wiki, who I'm very fortunate to be good friends with him and played alongside him for the Kiwis. So he was my hero, Rubes and Mal Meninga. But at the age of 12, I guess my number one hero idol was the legendary basketballer Michael Jordan. Yeah, I've actually got Jordan shoes on now. First pair of Jordans at the age of 40. The reason why I loved Michael Jordan was just his work ethic, his confidence, and I played a bit of basketball growing up as a kid from the age of 11 to the age of 15, 16. I stopped growing at 6 foot, and so I had to choose another sport to put my 100% effort in, and that was rugby league.
Yeah, nice. I've actually got an interview with Ruben Wiki at the end of the week, so
Cool.
He's agreed to come on as well. But yeah, I completely agree with you with Michael Jordan. Like, he was one of my idols growing up. Just his relentlessness. That was you couldn't go past it. There's not many people in the world that had that relentlessness with their sports.
Tell me about it. And I have to ask you, Jamie, did you watch The Last Dance?
Yes, of course I did.
My man,
it was,
your taste. You know your taste. Then I like you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was a hell of a series. I loved it. I remember watching the first 2 episodes, and I was going to the third one. And I went, "Oh, what the hell? What's going on?" And, I've got to wait for it to come out. So yeah. So in 2000, mate, you get to represent Aotearoa Māori. How was that for you, representing your culture?
It was, to be honest, at the time, I didn't understand the privilege and the honour it was to represent New Zealand Māori, Aotearoa, at the World Cup in 2000. I was only young, 17, 18 years of age. And at that time, I wasn't entrenched in my te reo Māori, my cultural identity at that time. So looking back at it now, I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to represent my culture. At the time, I was young. We went on a World Cup tour for 3-4 weeks. So as a young man does, you have a bit of fun as well as playing football. And to be honest, I'm sure my former teammates would agree. We had an awesome side. Tora Neko, we had Tyron Smith and David Kidwell. Yeah. We had a extremely awesome first grade team that we should have done better. So we did play underneath the level that we should have played at. But in saying that, it was an honour to put on the jersey. I'm more proud now than what I was then as a young 18-year-old to have represented my cultural identity in Māori, New Zealand Kiwi Māori team.
Yep. Just a personal question. What iwi do you represent from?
Oh, kia ora. Jamie, ko taunui te iwi, ko Ngāti Kaununu te iwi.
All right, ka whai.
Ka whai, my bro.
Yeah, well, I've got a Māori missus, mate, so, and my kids are Māori, so yeah. I lived in New Zealand for 3 years, mate, so I know a little bit of the lingo, but yeah, it's, yeah.
Awesome, my bro. Well, you're one of us then, brother.
I feel like it, mate.
I feel like it. You know, don't get me wrong, when I lived in Australia, I had a lot of mates that were brought up in Australia, but it doesn't mean that, you know, it's important to stay connected to your cultural identity too. And yeah, I did have a good 20 years in Australia my daughter lives in Australia. I'll tell her, hey, look, you're a Mozzie, you're half Aussie, half Kiwi. And Jamie, I get her to stand up for both anthems.
Yep.
So when Australia play the Kiwis, although I'm Hearty Kiwis, All Blacks, yep. I make my daughter stand up for both anthems to show her respect for both her cultural identities. It's important.
Yep, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I'm the same with my kids. Me and my partner. So we've got 12 kids between us.
Wow.
And we
You're
got
a busy man, bro.
well, we got 10 that live in their house, and the last three half New Zealand, half Australian. You know, so I'm trying to get the kids, my older kids, to kōrero te Māori, to to them te reo. So
yeah,
it's hard because they, as soon as they got to Australia, they lost it, and I'm like, what are you just go? Yeah, kōrero te reo. But so learning from what you did when you played for Aotearoa Māori, when you did get your chance to represent New Zealand, did you take that in a lot more?
Yeah, to be honest, Jamie, at that time, yes, because playing for the Kiwis was the pinnacle of most Kiwi boys playing rugby league, and to be able to represent New Zealand at the highest level, it is a moment that I am proud of. Even though we got smoked by Australia, it was an embarrassing score. Still, it was a great feeling. 2 years later, I had no NRL club chasing me, and then to be representing New Zealand, I definitely was proud.
Yep, absolutely, mate. So I read up. I'm not going to go into it because it's a personal thing, but in 2009, was that a particularly dark time in your life, mate? And if so, like, how did you deal with it? How did you come out of it?
2009, I would have been 27, 28 years of age, and that year, don't get me wrong, my life is healthy. I'm in a good spot right now. I have a loving family. I'm healthy and I'm well. But in 2009, I was a mentally unwell person. Just life got ahead of me. I had past trauma that came knocking on my door, and unfortunately, I'd suffered from depression. Spent 4 weeks in a psychiatric mental hospital whilst I was living in England and about to become a father. So looking back at it now, I did go through troubled times, and it took about a 5-year period to get myself healthy and well again. And how I got myself healthy and well was to continue to exercise, because exercise is important. It makes you feel good. And I had to surround myself with positive people. So it was a challenge, probably the biggest challenge that I faced in my life over that 5-year period, but it was worth it. I am a much healthier person. I've learned from my past trauma, and as you know, Jamie, we only live once, and we have to just take one day at a time and do everything you possibly can to put your well-being first. And especially during COVID, there's a lot of people out there who are suffering and going through trauma.
Yep.
But you've really got to focus on what you can control and fight for it. And that's something that I did, and I focus every day to maintaining my health and well-being.
Yeah, cool. I mean, that was going to be my next part of the question was, what advice do you have for people going through it? But you just answered it perfectly. So,
that's okay, Jeremy. Sorry to butt in, mate, because this is an important topic. So I will add a bit more. I think as men, anyone in particular, more so men, because we do have we let our egos get the more of us.
Yep.
It's important that when you're going through negative thoughts, recycling negative thoughts, is that you talk about it. And it's important to use your voice as your strength. And when you need that support, there's so many supporting avenues out there, but it does help when you talk about it to someone that you trust, whatever you're going through. And there is always a way out of mental health issues. There's always a way out.
Yeah.
And as men, we tend to hold on to our baggage without trying to share it with anybody, because we may seem that we think we're too weak, or
Yep.
or we were seen as we're too strong for this. But we need each other, Jamie. We all connected one way or another, and we can't get through life on our own, because when you isolate yourself, loneliness becomes toxic.
Yep, absolutely, mate. I went through my own mental illness with depression as well, mate. And I just got the guts to go and see the doctor about it. And at the time I got onto the medication, and I got into the right environment as well. Getting into that right environment helped me get off the medication. I didn't need the medication anymore. Surrounding myself with the right people. I think that's a lot of what helps as well.
Good on you, Jamie. And you've, like you said, you've been through a trauma yourself, but to hear that you've gotten through it, I think it's a positive that we need to share these stories more, and to inspire our gentlemen, men,
Yep.
teenagers too. I think the more stories, the better, and we can learn from each other, Jamie. So good on you, my friend. It takes hard work, and I support the people out there that are on medication. I understand how it is.
Yep.
But if you can really focus on the solutions and work extremely hard and maintain your health and well-being, well, like your story, Jamie, there is hope out there for others that potentially are looking to get off medication, but we have to support those ones who must stay on medication, and we've got to respect the professional advice, but also taking our own initiatives and doing the right steps each and every day to maintain our health and well-being. And for that, Jamie, we can control those parts where going outside, going for a walk, and making sure that we eat good food, drinking lots of water instead of lots of beer, and just small choices like that, Jamie, every single day, they will pay dividends in the future for your mental health and well-being.
Absolutely, mate. Yep, absolutely. I couldn't agree any more with you, mate. Have you got any advice for young kids coming up through sports? Maybe not just in sports, but in life in general. Any advice for them?
I sure can, Jamie. I have a few, but I'll stick to a couple. And there's a whakatau kia kaha tonu rā. Keep giving it heaps. You may be the smallest, you may be the slowest, but if you continue to work hard, whether in your books or your sport, you can achieve a lot. You've just got to keep on putting the work, and you may fail 10 times, but if you can continue to work, fall down 10 times, get up 11 times. So you just got to keep getting up. You got to understand that failures are our best lessons in life. Through failure is probably the best way we can learn. So
yeah, absolutely.
So take risks and learn from your failures, because there's no such thing as failure as long as you learn.
No, absolutely, mate. Couldn't agree any more with you again, mate. You've said it perfectly. What are you up to these days, mate? I know you've got your internal strength stuff that you're doing. Do you want to elaborate more on what you're doing with that?
I sure can, but before I do, my number one job is looking after a 1-year-old, changing the nappies. We're like his servants up here in this house here in Auckland.
I bet, mate.
So being a father is my main priority, and keeping connected with my daughter over there in Sydney, who I miss dearly. I haven't seen her in quite a while now due to COVID, travel restrictions. With the mahi that I do with internal strength, with the work that we do here, I have created a 10-module resilience mindset program that goes from Monday to Friday. And the 10 modules based on this program are the 10 modules and values and tools that keep me healthy and well. And very fortunate to be able to travel across New Zealand and deliver my program now online, because due to COVID, we have travel restrictions. So even if you're in there in Perth and you want to check it out, check out my website at internalstrength.nz. We do have this module online. So check it out if you're keen, my family and friends there in Perth.
Yeah, beautiful. I was just about to ask you about that too. Well done. Speaking of Perth, mate, with this possibility of the 18 coming up, mate, do you reckon Perth's a pretty good chance for it?
Fingers crossed. I had the privilege and honour to fly to Perth 3 years ago for work with Internal Strength. I delivered my program up in the mines there in. Let me. It was with Fortescue.
Okay. Yep.
I've missed. I can't remember the place right now. It was in the desert, 3 hours up north from Perth.
Yeah.
But anywho, yes, I've been to Perth 3 times, and it's a great stadium, great atmosphere, good city. I think it'd be great for rugby league, and yeah, it's got the facilities. there's a lot of diehard supporter rugby league supporters in Perth, and there is a big contingent of Kiwis over there too. So I would love for rugby league to blossom in your hometown, Jamie. And as you see, there's an opportunity there, and you just got to keep pushing, mate. That's why I really love the work that you're doing. You're really making an impact and promoting the game. I know you are passionate about what you do, and we need passionate people like you involved with the game of rugby league, because it is a great sport. It is the best. I reckon it's the toughest game.
Yep,
there is,
absolutely.
And I'll say that now because I'm retired. Because the players today are 10 times bigger than what we were back in the heyday, and faster and stronger. And it is an entertaining sport, and it needs to grow in Perth.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we showed with the last State of Origin that was here, and the State of Origin that's coming up, the numbers are just going to show the NRL that Perth does need a team. We've got a specific built stadium for rugby league, where the Western Force play in the rugby union. The Perth soccer team play the Perth Glory. So we've got the stadium and the facilities there. It's just a matter of the NRL actually looking at us instead of looking in Brisbane and Sydney.
Yeah, and how are the numbers with COVID in Perth? So are you in your community living as normal now? And
we've been as normal as we can be for so long. The eastern states have been on lockdown for months. Perth, because our premier over here, he's had a hard-nosed border policy. So we haven't had a lockdown here for months now. Like, I can't remember the last one. I think the amount of time we had was three days. That was our lockdown period, and we've kept it out so well. So it's been pretty good. Our COVID numbers are only ones that come in on the boats and on the planes, and they go straight into quarantine. So we've been really lucky here. Our premier's done a really good job with keeping it out. So,
well, that's a positive. I think they should push the NRL too to hopefully potentially have games in Perth. Yeah, it is difficult times right now, but I think it'd be great to see a team in your hometown. I think it'd be great support. Yeah. Who? If you were the coach, Jamie, who would you sign up? Who would be your first top two signatures?
If I had free reign in the market, I would probably go for someone like Brendan Smith from Melbourne. I love his hard-nosed approach to everything. Bit of a cheeky fella, but if you got the right coach in there or right environment around him, he'll be right. And the second one would be probably someone like Kalen Ponga. Those two working off each other. Kalen and Brandon Smith. Kalen's got the skill, the silky skills, and Brandon's got that hard-nosed approach. He just runs like a bull. I love it. I reckon those two you could build a team around.
And they're both young as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's got to keep them out of trouble.
Yeah, well, only one of them anyway. But that's who I'd try to build around. I know Brendan Smith cheekily had a meeting with the Dolphins and said he was playing on the pokies the other day, but I think he'd be stupid not to look at going to the Dolphins at the moment. I think the system needs a bit of a change out. I think NRL might need to introduce a draft system soon, because they do it in the AFL, NFL, baseball, all that sort of stuff. So and if they're doing an expansion team, that sort of gives the fresher teams, like for example, say Perth and the Dolphins, gives them a chance to pick up some youth, develop them, and all that sort of stuff, so they can pick up. Then they can trade a draft pick for a Brandon Smith. But that's just my opinion with that.
I agree. The game needs to evolve, and there always has been some sort of issue there with players and management talking to teams while still under contract, and clubs wanting to get rid of players when they don't even know. So I think having that draft maybe in the middle of the year, I'm surprised now that you've spoken about it, Jamie. I'm actually surprised that they haven't actually even thinking about that, because I think it's a great initiative, and like you said, the NFL are doing it. They've been doing it for a number of years now.
Yeah.
Instead of talking behind each other's back, just be straightforward.
Yeah, exactly.
And for the players' well-being too, it's nice for them to have more of a control over where they want to go to. And like I know this is my support for first grade players, and being there myself a long time ago, Jamie. The player's only trying to do best for himself. When it comes 5-10 years down the track, nobody's going to be supporting them. They've got to make the best money and what makes them, what they believe they can make them the best player. And it's just like a business, you've got to really look after yourself. And if a player can make better money elsewhere, or he's going to get more opportunities elsewhere, good on him. I think clubs will cut a player just like that. And why can't a player be the main dictator of his career? So I support the players, and if that draft system is going to come up, I think it's a great initiative.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, absolutely. Just want to talk about before we go, mate. This will be the last question before we go. I know you're a busy man, especially with your 1-year-old. In 2008, before you joined Huddersfield, you considered going to Union and going to the Waratahs, mate. What made you decide to stay with League and go to England?
To be honest, I wanted to come back to New Zealand to play in the Super, might have been Super 12 back then, Super 14 for the Wellington Hurricanes, which was my own town. And the Otago Highlanders offered me a contract, and then also the Waratahs were interested as well. I was talking to Mackenzie at that time, and they were keen to sign me. And I just thought there were some roadblocks there, because if I was ever good enough to play for the All Blacks, playing for the Waratahs, I would not be able to play for New Zealand. And not saying that I would have been good enough, who knows? It didn't happen, but I didn't want that to be in my way. So Huddersfield come knocking on the door, and at the time, Otago Highlanders Super 15 offered me a contract, and I thought to myself, hey, if I go down south to Otago, I don't know nobody there. It's cold. It's like cold airs. I thought, you know what? Huddersfield just come to the picture. They offered a healthier contract. I thought, no, I might as well go to England for 3 years. And I noticed my body wasn't recovering as fast, and I was slowing down a bit. And I thought to prolong my career, I needed to spend 3 years in the UK. So yeah, I was more so Huddersfield come with a Whatuira contract, and my recovery was slowing down because I was getting a bit older. I was losing my hair.
That's the way, mate.
Just being honest, bro. That's the reason why.
No, that's the way, mate. Absolutely appreciate it. That's all I've got for you, mate. Look, I really appreciate your time. Do you want to give us a plug again for Internal Strength, mate, before we go?
I do. But before I do, again, I really enjoy your mahi, Jamie. You're really pushing the boundaries and connecting with the right people. I know you got Ruben Wiki on board coming up shortly. I saw that you spoke to my good friend Monty Beetham as well, and you're doing awesome work, Jamie. So I sincerely wish you all the best. Keep plugging away. It'll be great to see a Perth rugby league team happening in the NRL, and it's just a pleasure to be here having a good talk with you, my friend.
No, I appreciate it, mate. Nami, awesome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And the business is Internal Strength New Zealand. So if you want to see my work online, just check out my website. We have our 10-module online program running live. So if you want to register, check it in, or follow me on Instagram and Facebook under my name, Paul.
Beautiful.
All the best, guys.
Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you, Jamie.
Ka kite.
Ka kite anō. Catch ya.
See you, mate.